Good morning. I'm trying to decide if this light's going to be way too bright or not, but based on the ISO, it says it's still too low, so it should be alright. We'll figure it out in post, I guess. Anyways, so I've been reviewing and going through, I think I've posted about 10 videos at this point. It's currently October 15th, and I think I'm at the last week of September for videos. I talked about this yesterday and trying to catch up to making them more, I don't know if you want to call them like real time, but I want to catch up my old recordings to be in line so that I can release a recording, the day after recording it, or if I'm really productive and catch up and get my workflow sorted out, I could probably almost do it the same evening, depending on what time I go to the gym, obviously. But that is still a work in progress. I do find that the one thing I need to add to these videos is probably a little bit more direction with how I'm going to lay out a topic, or what I'm going to talk about, because I do find that a lot of them are pretty open-ended, kind of, I don't want to say pointless rants, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty much what they are. So I want to try and work on that, and I do think it is something that will translate well into answering med school interview questions, or even interview questions in general for any job, right? Is going to an interview with, if you're the person being interviewed, you're not asking the questions, but keep your direction, your answers, your interview topics focused. Try not to go too far off the path of what you're trying to accomplish or say in your answer, and give yourself time to end off your thoughts and close your ideas. So I did talk before about having maybe like a AI generated question that'll kind of initiate part of the videos, or maybe the last half of the videos when I'm on my way back home from the gym, and I would use that time to answer that question. Still trying to figure out what types of questions I should prompt the AI to ask me, because I don't really know if you want to hear me sit and stumble through med school style questions, or if maybe answering questions about my current work or stuff I do right now might be more interesting and relevant for people to listen to. Either way, we're just pulling up here now, so let's see if we can get this line up here. Today is what is today? Upper body day. So we got a whole lot of everything to do. So I'm going to try and get 2 exercises in for each kind of muscle group. So chest is likely going to be, I'm thinking incline bench on the Smith machine, followed by a fly. I'm not sure if it's going to be like on free cables or on the seated cable machine. Then we're going to be doing some back. So I'm probably going to stick with lat pull downs on the overhead cables. And then a row. So it's between, I think it's probably going to be cable rows. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of those. And they always feel good if you have like the extra time to kind of go through some lighter sets once you get through the heavyweight. So those triceps likely going to be straight bar push down with independent tricep extensions afterwards. Curls, probably just stick around on that cable machine and I'll do some cable curls and then some dumbbell curls or vice versa. What does that leave me? I got to get shoulders in today, so I'll probably hit shoulder press and some lat raises and then finish off with the forearms. And that'll round off the upper body workout. Say it's a full one. I only have, I have about an hour and a half, so it should give me lots of time to get it done. But I gotta hop in there, start the cardio right now, or else we will not have time. So I'm gonna end this part right now. I hop in there, get on the bike, and see if I can beat my high score on Suica. And I might try and catch a post-workout clip in the studio if it's available. I was going to do it yesterday, but the batteries are dead in my camera, so I'll catch you in there. If not, I'll catch you outside when we're done. We do this without somebody driving into us. The gym backs onto like a crazy busy road, so sometimes when you're trying to get out of the parking lot, it's kind of like pulling onto the Indy 500 or Nürburgring ring or something like that. Today's workout ran longer than I had probably initially planned. I'm going to see right now it's finalizing my, not that bad actually. It's an hour and 37 minutes. I had only initially planned for about an hour and a half, so I guess we're kind of on par with what I was projecting. Got carried away chatting with a couple of the guys from work, so that ate up probably 10 minutes while I was trying to figure out some fantasy hockey stuff because my app wasn't working properly. So the lift today was pretty much exactly what I had planned. I did started off with what's going to go on here. I did incline bench on the Smith machine, followed by cable crossovers on the free arm. I can never remember what this machine's called. It's like the cable machine, but it has two arms that kind of swing on it. Anyways, crossovers on that. Those both felt really good. I think next time I'll probably stick with the seated cable machine, though. I find that I'm able to kind of focus on the chest a little bit more when I'm seated, not trying to get my balance with my feet. When we finished up that, we did lat pull downs on the overhead cables with, I did 3 sets of wide and then 3 sets of narrow, kind of pulling down to the lower abdominal region. I found that worked really well last time I tried them for my lower back. And then we did isolated rows on the MTS machine, or hammer strength. I'm not sure what the actual name of it is. It's isolateral though, so each hand works independently. We cranked through those, did some shoulder presses on the machine, and then finished everything off. I just did not one set. I did one exercise for biceps, triceps, and then some delts as well. So we did dumbbell curls, did single arm tricep extensions on the overhead cable, and then we finished off with a superset of lateral raises on a cable, forearm curls and forearm extensions. So it's kind of like a 3 exercise circuit, but it was all on the same machine. So I did 1 set of those for 3 times, so that was kind of the finisher. I was going to try and pop into the studio room and get a couple minutes of video, but it was being used for a class. I'm not sure what class it was. Anyways, it's the only thing that's kind of I don't say unfortunate, but there's not really anywhere to sit down and kind of have a post-workout chat in front of a mirror. The studio is being occupied. Other than that, all the mirrors are in the actual workout area that are usually being used for workouts, so I don't want to park my butt in front of those. Anyways, I gotta swap out with Amy, and I'm gonna get the girls ready for school, and I'll follow up with like a after drop-off video with you guys and wrap it up for the day because I gotta get ready for night shifts. So the kids are off at school and the little guy's at my parents' house, which means I'm going to use this afternoon to get a little bit of rest in before the night shift. I have to probably try and get 2 videos, maybe a third one up if I can today, just so I can catch up. And we have to do meal prep. I have to get some stuff ready for dinner tonight. Thankfully, being busy throughout the day means I'm not going to be tempted to try and eat a whole lot. It is really kind of a miserable day before the night shift, trying to ward off those hunger temptations. But I can tell you from experience that doing a night shift with like no calories left is even worse. So suffer a little bit now. I'll probably have like a protein shake in the next couple hours just so I can have something post-workout. But aside from that, it's going to be hold off till probably at least till 7 or 8 o'clock when we're at work and we can have something to eat there. So I have to stop by the station right now. I'm on my way there, and I also have to stop by the school. I'm trying to sort out some things for student placements coming up in the fall. There's been a bit of miscommunication or something going on, so try and troubleshoot that with the stakeholders involved. The only other thing I was thinking about chatting about today was about shortlisting strategies for interviews and applications for med school. I know I kind of like titled this whole series like medic to med school, and I haven't really talked a whole lot about what I've done to try and overcome being shortlisted, because that's really what the game is, right? Is how do you set your resume apart from others so that at whatever shortlisting kind of like checkpoint or whatever you want to call it, your application gets through and doesn't get held back. So there's a few strategies. Obviously, you can be kind of focused on the academic side of things. There's the work history, or kind of like your professional background, which is probably where I put most of my emphasis in the past 10 years. And then there's the extracurricular, volunteer, kind of like research. Research would kind of fall into education, I guess, but really it's putting your time into volunteer opportunities and sports and stuff like that, where that is something I've definitely not had a lot of opportunities to do much in, especially with having a family at home and working full time. So my strategy has been focus on academic performance. I think I mentioned in an earlier video, I did go to school or university right out of high school. Didn't do too well. Really did quite poorly in a lot of my classes. I was going to school for history and teachers college. So that was a bit of a scar that was kind of left on my transcripts that I had to resolve. So it was some paperwork and plea bargaining with the universities to try and get those marks switched over to withdrawals. So that helped me. And then obviously going back now in the past 3 or 4 years, finishing up my degree, I had to put a lot of time and effort into ensuring that my grades helped rectify or show that the performance I had out of high school has changed in my more mature education experience. And I was able to kind of show that through some of the additional college courses and stuff I took through my paramedic program. So, advancing through my advanced care paramedicine, and then, going back through university, my grades I would say it's a stark contrast from what it was out of high school. I wasn't the most responsible of students back then. And then the other side, and the other thing I was able to, lean on heavily is my professional background. So, working as a paramedic for 10 years, I've had the opportunity to be involved with a lot of different, I'm gonna call it like projects at work. So whether it be, special, open this up a bit. Like special teams, again, doing my advanced care paramedic stuff, so enhancing my abilities and my responsibilities as a paramedic. I was involved with fundraising groups, involved with certain training, especially things that happened during COVID. So there's a lot of things that I was able to kind of utilize to show that I'm committed to the healthcare profession and committed to responding and caring for the communities, especially when you look at northern communities here in Ontario. One of the things that med schools tend to focus on are marginalized populations or high-risk populations. So if you look at like the elderly or the underhoused or addictions, being able to show that you've had a prior commitment, or I don't know if you want to say commitment, but if you've committed to helping serve those populations, it definitely stands out as I'd say a positive when you look at the application as a whole. So that's kind of how I leaned into the professional aspect. Obviously advancing my career and becoming a supervisor and stuff like that are all attributes that they look for when you look at team leading, working, like collaborating with other agencies. So whether it be with police, fire, if you're dealing with mass casualty or huge, like you call it like we call them MCIs, so it'd be like multi-casualty or like a disaster essentially. We've done training to coordinate with different agencies. So these are all things that I was able to utilize to help bolster my application. So after that, then the rest is just pretty much certifications. Your degrees, diplomas, training, and like cultural competencies and stuff like that. So these are all courses I've taken that kind of speak towards some of the values and missions and goals that the schools have. So if anyone watching this is looking to apply to med school, I'd really strongly advise them to go to each university, not go physically to the university, but go to their webpage and pull up their mission statements, look at their values, and try to formulate your application to speak towards those values and stuff as best as you can. Obviously, if you're applying to multiple schools, it makes it a little bit more tricky. You have to pick and choose, which of your your history, so your professional, your educational, or your extracurriculars, how do they speak towards those values and stuff. And you'd have to pick and choose. Maybe if you have more than what's allowed on the application, you'd have to say, okay, well, these colleges or universities share these values, and this is on their mission statement, so I'll keep these these references on my application. So it ends up being a bit of a game, I guess you could say, where you have to strategize what you're going to have on your application. Either way, I'm going to take a quick little pause here. I'm just stopping by, like I said, the workplaces to figure out what's going on with some of these placements. And then I'll pop back on and we'll close off this video because I think it's going to be running a bit long. All right, that's all done. I will. What was I say? Put my seatbelt on is what I'm going to do. So the only thing I have left to do today, other than meal prepping and all those other things I'd mentioned, is I have to record a reply to the interview question my buddy had sent me. That was supposed to be a interview prep question, so I'm going to record that so I can send it off, and that will be that. Don't think there's much else I really need to talk about as far as the application stuff I was yammering about before I stopped the video. I did want to talk a bit about the workout routines and stuff like that, but I think that'll be a video for tomorrow. So I think until then, I'm going to cap this one off just so it doesn't end up being an extremely long video. I know it's probably already getting close to that 20-minute mark, so I'm going to cut this one off. For anyone who's still watching along, thanks for hanging out and listening to me try and be less awkward on camera and answering these questions. And hopefully, if you have any questions about the med school application process that I'm going through, feel free to ask them. And if you've been going through med school or you applied yourself and you have some strategies that you think might be helpful, let me know as well. But I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thanks for following along, and if you're hanging around, I'll see you in the next video.